condition. Steve Foxcroft at home in the living room. And last week we got all kinds of feedback. You said, more Tony, please. So we begged him. We asked him, and he said, no problem. What is he doing? It's a pandemic. He's living on the lake, cycling, running, doing all kinds of things. But he's with us again this week. Tony Gabriel, the Hall of Famer. Tone, how are you?
It's great to be back with you. And as well, if we could just get this weather to hold. I love this football weather.
Oh, you got to love it. We just need more football. More football in Canada would be good too, Tone. But hey, last week you talked to us. It led us into it perfectly because you gave us the game in Syracuse, Miami. You scored the 4 touchdowns. That put you on the professional radar screen. And we all know you did well because you came home. But there was a chance that you could have been a New York Giant, correct?
And looking back in that winter of 1970, to start the decade, I had Jim Trimble, the head of player personnel for the Giants, who had seen that Miami game, came through a snowstorm through to Syracuse looking for me. As a matter of fact, he couldn't find me, and he decided to make a call to my fraternity. The fraternity brothers got me on the phone call. I could not believe it was Jim Trimble. I thought somebody was playing a hoax. But sure enough, he came back to my dorm room, and he proceeded to offer me a contract, to sign up as a free agent. I'd get something like $18,000 if I even make the team. But if I made the first 40 some odd players, whichever was allowed, I'm just trying to think of the total, then it would be another $5,000 on top of that. And he was going to give me a signing bonus back then, I think, of something like $1,000 US. And that was a pretty damn good, offer. And I asked one thing. I said, well, could I come to New York City to meet some of the coaches? And he, and I said as well, Syracuse were playing in the National Invitational Tournament, the NITs, at Madison Square Garden. Yeah. So I asked him for tickets for that as well.
Good for you.
And he got them for me.
Nice. That's a big deal. Going to the Garden itself is a big deal.
Oh yeah, and they put me up at the Park Plaza. That was a big deal.
Yeah.
They gave me a meal at the Steak House Haunt. I can't remember the name of it, but it was one of the finest restaurants in New York City. But anyways, unfortunately, I never heard too much from Mr. Trimble or the coaches after that visit. Okay. And I was disappointed that a rumor went around that said I was using the potential of a U.S. NFL deal to lever against the Hamilton Ticats because I was territorial property.
Right.
In dealing with a real tough cookie named Ralph Sazio.
Yeah.
And so the Giants lost interest is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And as such, the only alternative in going to play in the CFL at that time seemed like the logical thing. I was homesick. I'd been away. I did, I was finishing my chemical engineering degree that I talked to you about. And that was most important for me, to be able to get back home to Canada. And, what I signed for in relative terms?
Yikes.
In Canadian dollars?
Yeah, I want to know.
I did get a signing bonus of $1,600 Canadian, and I was offered a contract for $8,400, which I signed.
Right.
And I came back to Burlington. All of a sudden, now I'm in the working world.
Yeah.
Have a chance to make the team in 1971 to play with Joe Zuger, and Wally Gabler as my quarterbacks, and I made the team.
Unreal.
And things started well. The first game against Edmonton Eskimos. I don't know if we were supposed to say Eskimos anymore, because if that's politically correct.
Oh, right, yeah.
Or
the Edmonton
incorrect
football team now, or
but
whatever
it's
they're
the
called.
Eskimo team back then. But it's
Right.
Edmonton now. And so I remember catching 6 passes in my first game, regular season game. But do you remember a linebacker that used to play with Montreal by any chance by the name of Mark Cosmos?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The second game against Montreal, they said maybe Gabriel was married to Cosmos because I couldn't get off the line of scrimmage around the son of a gun. Yeah. He and I became teammates later on when I was traded to Ottawa. But in fact, that first year was difficult under the best circumstances. Trying to learn the CFL game again at the tight end position, because I didn't have the speed for where I played split end at Syracuse. And at the same time, I started those first few games.
You're a rookie too, Tone. So you're a young guy against men, right?
I was a rookie, and who took over the position during the course of the year was Gord Christian. He had been a part of the team a couple of years before, with the team for a couple of years, I believe. And I don't know why they used to call him Stelco.
Right.
But he worked in the steel industry.
Okay.
He was a tough son of a gun from North Hamilton. And he was somebody that I had to compete against for the job. Okay. And at the same time, I did everything that I was asked for, whether it was running on kickoffs, running down punts, punt returns, I was trying to make the team and stay in professional football.
You had the consecutive catch streak too, right? You must have took pride in that.
Well, when I look back, I've been very fortunate and lucky in a number of cases. One was, Steve, that I had beaten the average career, which is usually about, they say 3.5 years, maybe 5, something like that, to get your pension. But right. I was fortunate to play 11 years.
Wow.
And I'd never missed a game until my 11th year in 1981 to start the regular season up there against Edmonton. I tried to go back on a flat pass, reaching back, caught the ball to keep the streak alive. That was the one pass I caught. And I got hit by the defender, trying to think it was Ed Jones, I believe his name is. And he drills me and breaks my the left 8th rib.
Ooh.
And punctured lung.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't go back into play.
Right.
I missed 2 games, but it healed properly. Yeah. But it doesn't count against you, Steve. If you can't play in a game, it's not that you didn't stop your consecutive games. Yeah. So it started again when I came back and finished the season, catching passes for each game. I think it was 137 that I had in a row of at least one pass, which matched whatever Harold Carmichael, I think, in the States.
Yeah. Wow.
He had I think about 137 or whatever back then.
That's
as well.
Yeah, that's tremendous. I love that. I love that little thing about you there too. So then you go to Ottawa. Now, 76 Grey Cup, of course, that's what you're known for everywhere, that catch. It was unbelievable. And the fact that you guys were huge underdogs. But I want to go to the play before that. Was that a late hit? Like, you make the catch before that, and they clobber you what seemed like a half an hour. They're trying to knock you out or something like that.
Steve, when I look back on that on YouTube or whenever I can see the 76 Cup game in those final seconds, you're absolutely right. We're at second down. We have the ball on about our, I'd say, on the Saskatchewan 35-yard line approximately. Tommy Clements, our quarterback, calls a crossing pattern between our slot back, Jim Foley, and myself. Jim goes short, and then he clears, and I go in behind about 10, 12 yards over the middle. And I caught it kind of over my left shoulder coming down. I get hit by the defender, Lorne Richardson, and he's pulled me to the ground. But Bill Manchuk, number 75, comes across with a forearm shiver right across my head while I'm on the ground, and my head bounces off the ground, and I'm seeing stars. And you could try to see me coming up off the ground. I have my hands on my knees. I'm shaking my head. I'm looking at the referee asking for a call, like a late hit. But I did catch the ball, and it was a first down and about their 24-yard line. We're losing by 4 points, and there's only about 20 some odd seconds left, right?
Right.
And I've got my big offensive lineman, Jim Cood, saying, Gabber, my nickname, eh? You wouldn't know why, eh? He says, Gabber, get back into the huddle. Time's running out.
Yeah.
So I run back in the huddle. Tommy Clements has a play sent in from our offensive coordinator, Tom Dimitrov, from our wide receiver, Gary Kuzik, saying, Tommy, coach wants. Tommy goes, no. And he calls the fateful pass, if you want to call it that way. Rabbi, fake 34, tight end flag. And in my mind, I'm in the huddle, hey, Steve, and going, oh, no, that's to me.
Gabriel is open in the end zone. Touchdown! And the Ottawa fans and players are going crazy.
And you're probably going, that's a long way for me to run right now, too.
Well, I had to get up to the line of scrimmage and pretend like everybody knows you got to pass the ball. Time's running out. But you have to go to a 3-point stance. And I was fortunate to catch O'Neill, the defensive end, in what they called an invert, with Roger Goree, the linebacker, inside. That freed me going out into the secondary against Ted Provost, man-to-man. I was able to fake hard into the middle to the post. He bit, and I went back out into the corner of the end zone. Tommy Clements blocking held up well. And I was watching that ball coming down, and it took its time.
Yes.
But my eyes were 6 feet wide open, I said, at the time, and I tucked that thing away. The only problem, Steve, one problem.
What's that?
We won the game. I knew that. But why didn't I hang on to the ball?
Oh, right.
I double spiked the ball behind me.
Right. That would have been a keeper, because that's like the Grey Cup catch of all time. You know, Tony Champion tried to get even with you in '89, I believe, but that it just didn't. It just didn't. So,
well, that was a game I was at in 1989 in the Skydome.
Skydome,
and
first
what that Tony Champion, that third down catch, falling back, was just awesome. But unfortunately, the Cats fell short at the time.
That rascal Ken Austin, he came back, drove down, beat us. So, and
Dave, I think the score was 40. Yeah, the score was 42-39 or something like that, right? In the end for Saskatchewan.
So, okay, we only have a couple minutes left, but I got to talk about the superstars, because the obstacle course. So you got to be about 50-ish or up to remember the superstars. It was the game show for athletes, and you won the Canadian one. Then you went to the Worlds, but the part that I loved about it the best was the obstacle course. So the first thing you got to do is go over a 15-foot wall. You climb up a rope. You jump over a pool of water. You go over a high bar, I think. You do the tires, and then hurdles at the end. There might be something I'm missing, but
but usually that's the important last event.
Yes,
where you get to choose about 7 different ones. I was fortunate in the Canadian Superstars in '76. alongside of the Grey Cup to be able to win that against great stars in sport. One being Marcel Dion from Los Angeles Kings, I recall, who came in second. But it was the obstacle course that I won. That won it for me back then. But in '77, I just happened to be looking at that recently, and I cannot believe some of the greats that I went against, such as Lynn Swann from Pittsburgh Steelers or Dave Casper from Oakland Raiders. They were great, but I didn't do very much. I beat John Conte, the boxer from England, in the half mile. That was my claim to fame back then. That's it.
And then Brian Budd, right? He won it like 3 years in a row, the Canadian.
When I look back to Brian Budd, what a great friend. He was a true victor, not just Canadian for 3 or 4 years. They stopped him from winning.
Right.
He was a great soccer player, of course, too. But he won it, I think, 3 times in a row down in the States against top American world type athletes. He was amazing. It's just unfortunate we lost him years back ago.
2008 heart attack. But yeah,
it was just sad.
To see you and him doing that was amazing, though, right? Like, you guys are down there representing Canada, and then he wins it.
It was just, in looking back, an opportunity to showcase not just our football talents, but other things. Unfortunately, I must say to you, I fell ill with the flu the week before or thereabouts when I was to compete down in Callaway Gardens in Georgia against those greats. So I always wish I could have had one more opportunity, but Brian Budd beat me every other year.
And then even on TV, it was Keith Jackson, the announcer, who would do the show and everything like that. Like, for everyone at home, you have to Google it. Superstars, you can Google 76, 77. Yeah, but Brian Budd, I think 77, 78, 79 won it. You won the Canadian one, went to the Worlds. It's like great YouTube stuff. And you have to watch the obstacle course, right? Like, was the wall intimidating?
Well, there's a lot of things that were intimidating, but that last one really makes you work. And but I enjoyed it. It was just something that I was kind of natural or seemed to be adept. And I was hoping that despite everything, I might do something in that event. But I must say, I don't remember scoring too many points.
Well, yeah, but world-class competition, and you did the Canadian one. It was like just great having you representing. So listen, Tom, we want to thank you because we had 2 weeks of you. We're asking a lot of your time. So we went from Central High to Syracuse to a stint maybe with the Giants, but we have Ticats, Ottawa, Grey Cup memories, superstar memories. We've done it all with you. But in closing, I have like 30 seconds or so. What are you doing these days?
Just I got involved with the Terry Fox virtual run this year and raising some funds. And I see he came to Spencer Smith Park.
Yeah.
12 days later, on July 13th in 1980, they have a monument up for him, a marker of him having been there. He was a true hero.
Just like you are, Tone. That's a great way to finish it. So I want to thank you. Glad you're back in town. Thanks for taking time to catch up with us. The great Tony Gabriel, everybody. And with that, we're going to wrap up this week. I'm Steve Foxcroft. Thanks to Tony, our director, Brad Scott. Have a sporting week. See you next time.